highway. All lanes were blocked. Now just 2 right lanes are closed. There's an overturned semi-cab. Delays start past 87th Street on southbound 294. Eastbound I-80 traffic slow from the Manuka interchange to past Shepley. This being Illinois, there are massive potholes causing flat tires just past the Shepley overpass. Inbound Stevenson, delays are Damon to the Rhine. There's a spin out on the ramp to the inbound Rhine. The outbound Stevenson is heavy from around Cermak to the Rhine. Downtown Washington is blocked between Clark and LaSalle. There was an overnight collision there. There's flooding at Antioch, Depot at 83. It's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, windy day ahead. In fact, some very high waves on the lake and some lakeshore flooding is expected. The rain continues into the early afternoon, a high of 55, partly cloudy and 41 overnight. Clouds and sunshine tomorrow, a bit nicer, high 64. Currently 40 degrees at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8 with breaking news as it happens. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
Welcome to radio's unchallenged authority on wealth, prestige, and success. It's another edition of Public Sector Pension Millionaire.
I'm flipping the pages, Amy. Please tell me when to stop.
Stop now.
All right. And how many lines should I go down?
I'd like you to go down 7 lines this time, please. Peruse your way down. Who do we have and how much money are we talking?
Let's see. We've got Jane Bauer, Riverbend Community Consolidated School District 2, Riverbend Consolidated School District 2. She is 59 years young. Sure, annual pension at present, now remember this date is 2 years old, but $112,000. She paid $148,000 into the system. That's 4.1% of her expected lifetime payout, which is $3.6 million.
Wow.
She's already been paid $566,000. She's 59 years old. $112 a year, been paid out $566 so far at 59. Lifetime payout, according to the actuarial tables, $3.6 million.
Oh, my gosh. She's a honey making money from doing nothing. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Where do I sign up?
That's the system. It's a system, by the way, that continues to throw off massive unfunded liabilities on a real-time basis because this piece in Forbes from the other day reminds us that there are 110,000 public sector employees in Illinois that make more than $100,000 annually. That translates to about $14 billion in annual personnel just on the salary side. That doesn't include the health care and pension benefits. Like, for example, Homewood Flossmoor District 233 Superintendent, Edward Mansfield. Homewood Flossmoor School District 233, right? One high school. $397,000. Gregory Jackson, $359,000. He's the superintendent of Ford Heights District 169.
Oh, that community is broke.
It's one of the worst, one
awful.
of the poorest towns and one of the worst school districts in the state. I mean,
and
it
how
just
much
is.
does he make?
$360,000. About 14% of the school district's budget is payroll for a handful of people, the principal, the superintendent.
Oh, those poor students.
This is what we are to bail out. Or this is what we're continuing to finance in perpetuity, and this is what everybody in the country is to bail out, this system.
But with what revenue? We have no revenue coming in right now either because of COVID-19.
And Governor Pritzker yesterday at the press briefing offered us all sorts of interesting arguments in contravention of the truth. You know, where to begin, beginning with the fact that we don't even need to talk about all the politicians making all the money. We just need to talk about one of the one politician who's in charge of the entire state and can rule by edict, by executive order. That's J.B. Pritzker.
Yeah,
As the General Assembly is not meeting, he doesn't like people going to the courts, and he believes, apparently, that he can just issue 30-day successive orders forever and ever. Amen.
without getting the General Assembly's approval. And how can they meet? Where can they meet?
What about a virtual meeting? Is that
it's not allowed by law today, but absolutely they could. I know that the city council in Chicago has met by Zoom. I know that some of the aldermen don't feel like it's a very effective way to meet, but they are at least meeting. And so, yeah, that is something that the legislature could do. But in order to do that, they would need to meet in person and to pass a law to allow distance meetings.
Oh, so until that happens, I'm in charge. I'm the king. Bill Brady.
Wait. So just follow the logic here. So they have to meet in order to pass a law that would allow them to meet. So they can't meet to pass the law that would allow them to meet. That's essentially his position. Right. So it's all about arguing for the safety of 177 politicians, and they can't figure it out. So until they figure it out, I guess we'll just have to live under the rule of one man. Okay.
Bill Brady suggested something else.
Bill Brady suggesting today maybe wearing masks, putting up plastic shields, or maybe even meeting in a place like the United Center. Mm-hmm. Why, if the Department of Public Health can set regulations for how grocery stores can safely operate, can't the department set guidelines for how the legislature can convene to do its work?
Well, so we will and do, and it's kind of the same answer, and I don't know whether they would recommend wearing face shields or surgical.
This is the dumbest conversation. It's the dumbest suggestion. It's the dumbest conversation. It's all a misdirection play. Here's the bottom line. Don't care. Figure it out. 177 politicians. You're supposed to be representing these 177 politicians. You're supposed to be representing 12.5 million people, and you can't figure out how to meet? Are you fracking kidding me?
No,
the issue is governance. It's not process about meeting. It's about co-equal branches of government sharing power, exercising their power, so you don't have the rule of one man. That's the bottom line. And that's what should be put between the eyes of Governor Spalding. So tell your friends or whoever is going to be the pool reporter reader, note card reader today, to do so, for goodness sakes. How complicated is this? Would you just cut through all of the bull jive from this blowhole? He also suggested, by the way, that he is going to dictate to local governments, across the board, except when it comes to anybody asking for property tax relief. He'll dictate to local governments on everything else. When it comes to, hey, Governor, what about property tax relief? That's a local issue. Local issue. I got no opinion on that. That's a local matter completely.
Out of my hands, folks. That's what he said. Yep.
For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined by Chicago Tribune columnist John Kass, who has a cure for all of what we've been talking about. Cure for everything. COVID-19, the state's financial problems, everything. John, thanks for joining us.
Hey, it's great to be here with you two. And listening to Pritzker play a leader, is it like watching John Travolta play John Gotti?
You mean it's terrible acting?
It's not credible, right?
Well, yeah, the plan is there is no plan.
John Travolta is a tough guy, and here's Pritzker floundering around. And Madigan is the boss, and he's just sitting there letting Pritzker take the heat. It's amazing.
I'm going to take your advice per your column, and I'm going to make all my problems go away. The cure for the coronavirus blues, liver sausage and sardines. If I eat liver sausage and sardines, then I'll be in such a state that I won't be able to think about anything else.
You get a good liver sausage, you put some onions on it, some mustard, and good bread, and that ends the coronavirus ennui, which is a French word. Meaning lethargy and melancholy.
Right. Yeah. The only thing more disgusting than contemplating eating it is contemplating watching J.B. Pritzker eat that.
J.B. Pritzker wouldn't. I think he could eat it. I think he'd like it. I might even sit down with him and have some King Oscar sardine sandwiches if he would agree to actually discuss bankruptcy.
Well, you're going to have to make
No.
sure that the IDPH sets the guidelines for how you two can meet. Probably face shields will be involved. Obviously, 6 feet apart, perhaps in the United Center.
Right. It's pathetic, man.
So
It's we've given up everything, Amy and Dan. I just talked to Dan Bailey after I heard him on your show the other day.
Darren.
I interviewed him about the protests that'll happen Friday, and he asked me, what happened to this country where we just so quickly give up our freedoms and our liberty so easily, just because somebody says something. It's really amazing.
But when are we going to get them back? I mean, there is no plan. And JB, when he talked about schools possibly not opening in the fall, I mean, that's when I really am contemplating moving to a state where there is some strong leadership, where there's some rationale going on, because I want the kids back in school in the fall.
Yeah, well, I understand that. And until people start listening to you guys and maybe some others of us, and begin to take their liberty back and push back, which is the point of these protests. People have to push back if they want their liberty. Once you give up your liberties to the state just keeps growing and growing. And next thing you know, you're going to have everybody acting like de Blasio, arresting Orthodox Jews for wanting to be at a funeral. I mean, this whole thing is ridiculous.
John, Pritzker challenged, radical rightists like you and others. Tell me, John Kass, that you don't want federal support for our pension systems. Tell me, John Kass, you extremist, that you don't want to fund police officers and teachers and firefighters. You tell me that right now, John Kass, if you have the stones to say it.
That is as specious as, well, he was not talking about conservatives. He was talking about Republicans.
Yes.
And they don't have the stones. But
true.
If the point being that all those arguments, along with the donor state argument, like, oh, we give so much money and Kentucky takes so much money to justify the status quo, that is really despicable and evil, because unless you deal with the underlying root cause of the addiction, which is buying votes with taxpayers' money and taking their homes away through higher and higher property taxes and other taxes, you will never get to the problem of Illinois. And that is the buying of votes for buying union votes with taxpayer money. That's why we're here.
Well, I know.
And that's why.
Yeah.
That's why you did your, that ridiculous thing with the guy from Fort Heights making $300,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you kidding? In pensions? It's criminal.
Your editorial board, I believe you're a member of the editorial board now, aren't you, at Tribune?
I am a proud member.
You heartlessly editorialized against SIU healthcare workers who need to make more than the 11% pay increase that is being offered if their workers are going to continue to work in 40 nursing homes around the state. How could you?
Yeah, but I mean, I would like to name the union boss. If I were writing a column, which is different, I did not write the editorial, but if I were writing a column, I'd name the union boss and talk about how SEIU, what elections have they played in, and why is the governor not challenging them immediately?
He's challenging them to accept their salary increases. That's
He did? Oh, he stood up?
He
stood up like a tough guy?
Well, he stood up and said, I'm going to give you the salary increases that are coming to you. So he challenged them by saying, here you go. I'm going to challenge you to continue doing this great job for the state that you're doing. It's sort of a challenge.
Hey, John Kass, have you thought about looking into McCormick Place and all these others? There's one in Elgin that we built for $18 million, one in Oak Park. There's one in, Blue Island. And at McCormick Place, there's 9 nurses for every 1 patient right now. And the nurses were paying $13,000 a week, and we're housing them. It's
And
a
how many
colossal
patients,
waste of
Amy?
tax dollars. 9. There's
How-
9. And 9
Like,
nurses per each patient. Can you imagine being McCormick Place with that few of people?
I think a lot of people would take $13,000 a week to just sit there. You know, I mean, I don't know. They were terrified. Look, originally they were terrified. Pritzker and Lightfoot were terrified that when they got the ventilator fear going, they were terrified that the entire social order of the South and West Side would collapse, and there'd be panic and violence if there weren't enough ventilators. So they got what they wanted, and now look, there's nobody in the hospitals. That's amazing.
The social
but that's what it is. It's fear.
The social order, the South and West Sides, are wide swaths of the South and West Sides, and frankly, the rest of the city, even aware of what's going on? That party would seem to indicate they aren't.
Well,
you didn't know, right? You thought it was just some story.
Yeah, well, his mom's a first responder too, and she was out working, so she didn't know that her son, who is an adult, by the way, not a teenager, I think he's 23 or 25.
Whatever.
Had a party.
The point is that the idea that they were worried about the social fabric disintegrating. They're worried about the social fabric disintegrating over this, but not over the 600 murders and 3,000 shootings every year. I mean, spare me their concern for cohesion and public safety, particularly in the poorest neighborhoods.
I think that I think that they and the major hospitals on the South Side and West Side were terrified of that, and I think all that fear generating amongst the bureaucrats leads to policies that are badly thought out or quick responses, which is the reason why they have an executive order, and it only lasts 30 days, because that gives you time to have the legislature come together and make law. It's called law. It's not called whatever Governor Commodius Maximus decrees. It's called law.
Well,
they don't want.
Yeah, and they don't want it, including your girl there, Triple Threat, who was all upset that the city council didn't genuflect before her and give her the same carte blanche that the General Assembly has given Pritzker by not even bothering to meet.
Because why should anyone look over how you're spending the money? How dare you?
Right.
How dare you question me?
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that the General Assemblies are, the members are just sitting at home collecting a check without having to make a decision. I mean, I don't know if that's going to jeopardize their reelection, or somebody's got to do something. They have to meet to take power away.
Jeopardize the reelection.
Jeopardize the reelection.
We're bankrupt, and they're still we're bankrupt. They won't deal with the fact that it's like what Illinois is. It's like giving meth addicts cash when they panhandle at your car on Ogden and Western. Just give them the cash and take more money from the taxpayer. And there's no pushback. There's no pushback. It's just, please, sir, may I have another?
I would offer as a money-saving measure the suspension of the fall election in Illinois. Just cancel the election here, except that I want to give people the opportunity to vote in the graduated state income tax. That's the only thing. That's the only reason I think it needs to go forward, John.
Yeah, the whole thing is not, I love Illinois, and I know you guys do too, and we love our homes. And what bothers me the most is that they can do all this stuff, and he can have his stage-managed press conference or whatever it's called with one questioner. And anybody who, and it's all just, to me, a joke. It's a joke. The whole thing.
Well, the joke's on us because in Hinsdale and on the North Shore and in Naperville and all over the metropolitan area outside of Chicago, even in these suburban communities I'm mentioning, high marks. High marks. Wonderful management because, I'm somewhat insulated and I'm a virtue signaling thug. And I'm happy to be obedient. I'm happy to be obedient.
Hate has no home here. And of course,
hate has no home here.
It would always be that class of the elites that would make the deals, right, with the oppressive agent. I mean, anyone who saw Red Dawn understands that when the father sticks the bug in the son's food or whatever he did.
Yeah,
that stuff happens.
I think maybe we need to start bringing the protests, and I'm saying it peaceful way. Just like their protests outside of politicians' homes, like they did Rahm Emanuel, in a peaceful way. The Chicago Teachers Union. Why can't we take that approach and do it outside the homes of public sector pensioners all over the place? Why can't we do it outside the homes of champagne socialists, rent-seeking CEOs in C-suites in downtown who are part and parcel of the problem? Maybe it's time to stop spotlighting the politicians who are just the conduits for the sentimental barbarians in the public sector and in the rent-seeking private sector.
I don't want to single out individuals like in tar and feather or burn in effigy any individuals that are beneficiaries of. Although I do, on the second thought, I do like what you do when you read through Rolodex. I think that there should be some database where anyone who makes a comment about public pensions, or taxes or any of it, like say John Kass, Republican in the Hobbit Hole in the Shire, and then add how much pension will he get? How much pension would that state rep get? Every time they're mentioned in the news, that should be part of it.
He is John Kass, a.k.a. Bilbo Baggins, Chicago Tribune columnist. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I'm in the Hobbit Hole, and I'm loving it.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
After 25 years of building websites for all kinds of companies in many different industries, AmericanEagle.com realized a well-designed website is also your best employee, bringing efficiency, revenue, production, showing up every day, giving above and beyond to increase your bottom line. That's what a website designed, developed, and hosted by AmericanEagle.com has brought to so many clients. An AmericanEagle.com website is a 24/7 branding exercise, building rapport and thus brand equity while you sleep. Companies like WeatherTech have relied on AmericanEagle.com's website design and development and hosting capabilities